These technologies and what I'm doing, I love it from the African perspective because we have, this is something quite new to us,
Yeah.
industrialization. We don't have it. We are getting there. And this is our chance to leapfrog and learn from the lessons that other people have done. We have seen that at the moment, this production technologies from all over the world is not sustainable.
Yeah.
So from an African point, it's an opportunity to actually take up the chance to come up with new innovations and new technologies that are cleaner, that are green. Um, so that's where we like have we have a chance to take charge in taking the clean production technology forward. And we have greatest renewable energy resources. So it's very much possible to do cleaner, greener production from an industrial point of view in the African.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Root of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. If you are new here, welcome to the show. If you are a regular, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember that you can watch us on YouTube. If you are right now, remember to subscribe on the YouTube channel, share the link, share it with your friends and family. Or alternatively, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you listen to your podcast, and make sure that you also share this episode and, leave a comment if you love the show. Now, let's get into today's episode. My guest today is Dorcas Tuitoek. She is a PhD student from Kenya, and she is pursuing her PhD in engineering science at the University of Oxford in the United Kingdom. Dorcas is dedicated to addressing climate change through sustainable industrial processes and green technology. Join us in this episode as we delve more into Dorcas's research, her inspiring story of how she came from Kenya all the way to the United Kingdom, and some of the innovative solutions that she's actually exploring in her research to combat climate change and promote a more sustainable development. Let's go. Hello, Dorcas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Annie, for having me.
Oh man, it's such a pleasure to have you here. It's a long time coming. But I'm so glad we
Finally,
are here. Finally, we have
I
made the
know.
date.
Finally. Oh, I've been longing to be here, Annie, so it's a pleasure. Thank
Oh,
you.
fantastic. Me too. So first things first, Dorcas, could you just briefly introduce yourself? Who is Dorcas? Where you from originally? Where you currently based? And just in a quick little bit, what do you do?
Thank you, Annie. So my name is Dorcas Tuitoek, and my middle name is Jelagat. I come from Kenya. Yay, Team Kenya. But currently based in Oxford, where I'm doing my PhD in systems engineering. I'm looking at industrial decarbonization and specifically steel industry. Yeah, so that's who I am basically.
Fantastic. We're going to get into all of that and all of that you do. But let's start from the beginning, right? You told us you're from Kenya. Now you're all the way on the other side of the ocean. Or is there an ocean? Yeah, there is an ocean. There is an ocean. There's a Mediterranean. Just like to make sure. No, that's America. Yeah, so you're on the other side of the world. I think that's a better explanation. How did you get there? Tell us your journey from being in Kenya, and now where you are.
All right, thank you, Annie. So I did my undergraduate degree in Kenya and I did chemical engineering. And I think this is where it all began because I specialized in energy and environment in my final year, in my
Okay.
fifth year. And then this is when I actually realized that my area would be around either energy or environmental stuff. So I graduated in 2022, March.
Mm-hmm.
And then about this time, I am having a good grade. I'm having a good grade.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents and my lecturers are urging me to look for scholarships, like pursue a master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, is it something that I really want? So I'm at a place where I'm not quite sure that I want to pursue a postgraduate
Mm-hmm.
because not so long after my graduation, I got to work with Deloitte, and I was starting to get
Oh,
involved in the work. So I'm like,
yeah.
this thing, Deloitte, I'm gonna work here. I'm gonna build my career here.
Yeah, yeah.
So, well, I couldn't put up like with all the pressures from all over. So I ended up applying. And I wanted to do a master's only and just get done with it,
Yeah.
because I realized even in Deloitte I could do stuff with environment.
Mm-hmm.
There's a specific course called like ESG. So at Deloitte, I was working as a business analyst in the
Mm-hmm.
risk advisory department, and the work mostly involved looking at IT risk assessment, environmental, social, and governance. Clients had to come out and like just work around how to have a strategy. So slowly realized that, well, this is what I might consider doing.
Mm-hmm.
But then the scholarship that I applied to got back to me in October, just a few months to be exact,
Mm-hmm.
4 months after joining Deloitte. So I have this scholarship now, and I have two options. Because it's road scholarship, you're given 2 years. So you either do two masters, 1 year, each year one master
Mm-hmm.
program, and then the other alternative was to do a PhD.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so after this scholarship coming, and I have these two options, I'm like, do I want to do a master's again for 2 years, or should I just do a PhD directly?
Yeah,
Um, and I'm conflicted now because I have to make a decision.
sure.
I strongly feel that PhD would be quite difficult because I have not had a master's before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I also have the option to just like push through and like see what it has, because I also learned that there are some people who did their PhDs directly
Mm.
from undergraduate. So I go for this option because
Yes,
um
girl.
by looking, I go I go for this option because I realize it's possible to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and I shouldn't be the one limiting myself. People
Yeah.
have done it. I trust also my capabilities, and not even me trusting, even the lecturers and the people who gave me the scholarship actually trusted my abilities. So I will be fine. So that is how I ended up doing a PhD. And why PhD in engineering science is because I think because I had a background in chemical engineering, there was
Yeah.
no way I was gonna do a PhD in something that is foreign or something that's
Mm.
so far from like the engineering bit. So that's why I ended up doing a PhD in engineering science.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What a journey. What a very unique journey, but I think it's a very important one where maybe somebody did not know that this is like a possible career. I mean, this is an
Mhm.
option because we always think that there are all these, you do undergrad, you do masters, and then you do a PhD. So before we go on, how was that transition coming straight from undergraduate level to pursuing a PhD? Was it I'm asking because I know a PhD is
I
so
know.
like you rightfully said that you didn't have the background of a master's, but I don't even know if that really prepares you. But I just would like to hear from you, like how was that transition moving straight into this PhD?
To be honest, Annie, it was not easy.
Yeah.
I, the beginning, I felt like maybe if I would have done masters, it would have been easier. But apparently, it's most people just experience it differently. And for
Yeah.
me, the learning curve was quite steep. Also, given the fact that I had been away from school for 1 year,
Mm,
so my mind was just not ready to go into books, go
yeah.
into grinding. I mean, I had to go back to my books, back to my undergraduate books, just to catch up with the basis, the
Yeah.
foundation, which was quite a lot.
Mm,
Um, but then good thing is that it takes a bit of time, but you
mm,
get there.
yeah.
You get there. So after some time, you actually catch up with people who've done the master's program.
Mm,
Um, it's not easy, but very much
doable.
possible.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
And you're right. There's no, I don't think it's like with the under postgraduate journey. I don't think everybody's journey is the same. So even if you had done a master's, it does not guarantee that your PhD would have been smooth. Vice versa, where without doing a PhD could have been smooth. So, like you rightfully said, there's a learning curve at every single step. But congratulations for doing this, and for overcoming this. So now let's get into the details of this PhD.
Mhm.
I'd like to understand what you do. So your research focuses on industrial decarbonization and sustainable
Mhm.
production. Okay, those are like two big mouthfuls for somebody like myself who has no idea
Mhm.
what that is. Can you just break it down for us on what exactly you're doing?
Mm. So, industrial decarbonization,
Mm,
and let me start with the word decarbonization. This is basically trying to remove the processes that emit CO2 from the industrial production processes.
okay.
So, for example, particularly in the steel industry, the work that I am doing, trying to look for technologies to substitute the current ones that emit a lot of CO2.
Mm,
And in any industrial process, you realize that there's input materials going in, and then there's like a black box in between where production happens. And then at the tail end is where you have output product, like product coming out. So sustainable production and industrial decarbonization basically tries to look at any industry in from that point of view, where you have input, a black box, and an output, and you try to make all these processes, like from incoming raw materials to the actual process to whatever is coming out, making it very much green in the sense that you're trying to minimize emissions, minimize energy, ensure that you're producing less waste. So that is industrial decarbonization. It does not only look at CO2, it also looks at the amount of energy intensiveness that you use and trying to minimize that, because the greatest emissions actually come from energy systems.
mm.
So that's it. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So why is this work important? We understand we are in the era of climate change and we need to make some issues, but can you further elaborate why this work is important in this research that you're doing?
Yeah. Happy to do that. So CO2 is the greatest contributor of climate change.
Mm,
And this stems from most industrial processes, especially the energy intensive ones that rely on fossil fuels. So up, also, like, if you consider the upcoming technologies from Africa, and you realize that as Africa, we are slowly industrializing. Even the Agenda 63 says that in like 2050, we would have grown so many industries.
mm,
Um, Current production technologies for most industries emit the CO2.
mm,
And we need to find ways to ensure that these industries are minimizing their CO2 production rate,
yeah.
so that we do not encounter a place where we are having so much warming in the atmosphere caused by these industries. So it's a matter of trying to balance between growth,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, technological development, and also industrial development of countries and of places, but also achieving that balance of you're not emitting CO2, so you're becoming green and clean and lean.
Mm. Yeah, what a very important balance because, we still have a lot of time here on the earth, not only ourselves, but our children and our children's children. So then let's talk about these, specific technologies or the methods that you're actually, exploring for your work, which are on green fuels for the steel industry. What exactly are those alternatives?
Mm. So you realize that as the energy intensiveness of a process gets in, you want to look for energy solutions that are very much like higher in terms
Yeah,
of calorific value. But some of this, for example, coal is the greatest CO2 emitter.
yeah, yeah.
And it is very much used in most industries. I bet also like South Africa uses a
Mm,
lot of
yeah,
coal.
cool.
So yes, so this green alternative fuels come from renewable energy sources.
Mm.
An example is hydrogen. So how to get hydrogen from a clean energy fuel is that you break water through solar, like you break the water molecules
Wow.
by use of solar power, and then you get hydrogen from it.
Yeah.
So in that sense, hydrogen is a fuel and it has good energy content.
Hmm.
So taking this and replacing this hydrogen, like replacing the coal,
Yeah.
and by using hydrogen is one of the technologies we are looking at. We're also exploring reactor design because most industrial processes happen in a reactor.
Yeah.
So for example, the steel industry, there's the shaft furnaces, but design of these reactors can also influence um, how much CO2 is emitted. So we're trying to also look for a good design of the reactor that tries to minimize emissions
Mm.
and also incorporate aspects such as process control, incorporate also like sensors and like AI and new technologies to make sure that the technologies are measuring what needs to be measured and the CO2 is not as high. Basically, process control. Sorry.
Listen, Dorcas, this is so fascinating. My mind is blown. Like I didn't even know that you could do half of the things that you're saying. Like you can break a water molecule. Okay, I'll be honest. I left chemistry in second year. It traumatized me, but I mean, I
Mhm.
have a very basic understanding. But it's really fascinating that this is a type of work that you're doing, and it's got such positive effects as as alternatives. And wow, bringing in AI, because I mean everybody's talking about AI, so it seems like this is really really innovative and really really exciting. But I just want to ask you, because at the end of the day you are an African, although you are in Oxford, right? So
Mhm.
like after you've done this research and you become Dr. Dorcas, you know,
Can't wait.
when that
I
happens,
can't wait.
um,
Mhm.
how do you see your research impacting the future for the industrial processes, particularly in developing countries like
Mhm.
Africa, or, yeah, like Africa, because we are Africans here. So let's just take it to a more local context.
That's my best part because you know what? Africa has the greatest mineral resources and not just mineral resources, like
Mm,
natural resources. And most industries rely on these resources to actually industrialize. And you realize that Africa usually exports a lot. Like, for example, steel industry uses iron ore. Iron ore, like the best iron ore currently in the world comes from South Africa.
wow.
The thing is, the thing is now with these resources, we have not gotten to a point where we have actually maximized the use in Africa
Mm,
to the point where it brings so much profit to us. And we export products that are not like they've not gone through processing, like we've
mm,
not value added them.
yeah.
So I believe that if we have these resources and we can find technologies to actually value add them to a point where they can be exported, then that's a benefit for Africa. And value addition comes with new technologies
Yes.
and new processes that are actually very much impactful. And then number two, these technologies and what I'm doing, I love it from the African perspective because we have this is something quite new to us,
Yeah.
industrialization. We don't have it. We are getting there. And this is our chance to leapfrog and learn from the lessons that other people have done. We have seen that at the moment, this technologies from all over the world is not sustainable.
Yeah.
So, from an African point, it's an opportunity to actually take up the chance to come up with new innovations and new technologies that are cleaner, that are green. Um, so that's where we like have we have a chance to take charge in taking the clean production technology forward. And we have greatest renewable energy resources. So it's very much possible to do cleaner, greener production from an industrial point of view in the African context. So these technologies are very important. Yeah.
Mm. No, for sure, for sure. And I hope it does come to that part where we are actually utilizing these technologies so that we can industrialize and, really grow our economy. And, research like yours opens up those options for us, maybe because we don't know how to do this yet. So it's really great that there are researchers like yourself who are Africans who can potentially bring it back and be like, hey, this is the type of research that I did. And we can propose to do A, B, C, D. So it really sounds exciting. I know you're still in the process. And eventually
Long
it's
way to
gonna
go.
get there. Eventually it's gonna get there. So we touched on it
Yeah.
already when we were talking about your journey on the idea of transitioning from into your PhD. So this is very innovative work, but it's got its ups and downs. We know this with any type of
Tell me
research.
about it.
So would you mind sharing some of your biggest challenges that you faced and how you overcame some of these things?
Mm, just like in any field or in any career,
Yeah.
one thing that came up is uncertainties. And for me, it came in the sense that I started a project that did not turn out to be what I'm doing now.
Oh, yes.
So I believe that just handling uncertainties was quite challenging to me.
Mm.
And I came in with the mind of like, I know what I'm going to do and I'm going with this, I'm rolling with this. This is going to be the one thing that I'm just gonna do.
Yeah.
But things went the other way around.
Yeah.
But of course I'm very happy like doing this thing that I'm doing now. But that transition from doing whatever you thought you would do to something else
Mm.
was quite challenging period for me. And also learning how to just embrace optimism and open-mindedness even while doing research. I think PhD is quite one of those things that teaches you to just be open-minded and flow with anything that comes. As long as
Mm.
you have that one goal, journey might go meandering and it's totally fine. So that is what I have learned. And also like the learning curve, starting was quite hard, like just that gap from undergrad to PhD. It was a quite challenging period. But I relied a lot on my mentors and my supervisors to also take me through what I need to do. So yeah.
Mm. I'm so glad you brought up mentorship as a very crucial role that has helped you through your journey. And I think sometimes we really take it for granted having somebody who has gone before you, because, like you rightfully said, many of us come in very naively into postgrad. I don't even want to say a PhD. I just think postgrad, and you come in very naively, and especially if you've been a top achiever, because I've learned, and I'm sure you're also learning this as well, that it's not about how smart you are, because there are so many things that happen beyond your control.
I know.
So it's quite interesting that, once you apart it's not about your intellect, so it's more about your resilience. So it's really great that you have people who can tell you like, hey girl, listen, it's not you, it is really not you. Because sometimes you're like, no,
Yeah,
maybe I'm not cut out for this, I should have stuck
I
at
know.
Deloitte. Could have been earning my money, why am I putting
I
myself through
know.
this?
Why did I bring myself here? I know.
So
Exactly.
yeah. So, you yourself are involved in mentorship programs. So why do you think, why is mentoring young students really so important for you and such a close cause to your heart?
That's a good question. I love mentorship for so many reasons.
Mm.
One of them is I am a product of mentorship. I think I have grown up just having people who have guided me along my journey, which I have found really helpful. I just imagine a life without maybe someone to hold your hand, ask questions, someone who's
Mm.
gone before you in the things that you do. So in that sense, I would also want to be that person for someone else. And then secondly, Agenda 2063. I mean, the young people, and that's like Africa Agenda 2063. The young people will be the greatest workforce in this continent. The only way we can have this is if we also give out this hand, lend our hands to someone else to get to know that they can do it, that it's very much possible, and that this, for example, STEM courses, they are very much needed for even us as a continent to industrialize.
Definitely.
Um, Definitely. And like the way people also like there's a lot of diversity in areas of interest. But also young people, I don't want them to run away from doing the STEM courses and mostly go for TikTok and stuff and like the social. But I also, yes, there's the future. Our future honestly lies in some of these
Yeah.
innovations and technologies, and I would want as many people to also take up these courses and learn so that they can come up with these innovations and steer our continent forward. So in that sense, this mentorship means a lot to me because I want to see that future for
Mm.
our country and also for the entire continent.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that. What a beautiful answer. So it's so much more than just it about you, but it's about the future generation and the next generation. And I mean, come on, you're an incredible role model for the people who you mentor. So I think it's really great that as much as you were given, you're also able to give back. So, Dorcas, you're not only just a PhD student, you're not only involved in mentoring, you do have a life outside of
Oh
this. You do have a life,
no.
which is great. And a little birdie tells me that you sing as well.
I love singing. Let me tell you, a PhD sometimes can just be something else.
Yeah.
People need to have hobbies.
Yeah.
So for me, I love singing. I have joined my college choir here in Oxford.
Wow.
And I'm also looking to just like upskill my singing skills and do, who knows if PhD doesn't, I'll be singing to the PhD and like, PhD, come on, work out.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so I love singing. I also love swimming. I indulge myself in so many extracurricular activities here and also beyond, which I think it's keeping me grounded in the
Mm,
things that I need to do.
mm.
Yeah, and lately I'm also just learning how to be out there and speak out and take up presentations. So I'm excited for the extracurricular things that I'm doing around. Yeah.
Power to you, power to you. So, how do you handle it? Because I know maybe sometimes somebody might think, I just need to come and do my PhD. I need to be in the lab 24/7 or in the field, whatever you're doing, go home, sleep. So, how do you juggle your interests and also the PhD? Have you found a balance? Is there a balance? Does it exist?
My first day in Oxford, I came in and one of the lecture that I got from the engineering science department was this person telling us that bright people do so many things. And that
Mm,
thing stuck with me. So I have always endeavored to do things beyond my PhD because I realized
love
if I just
that.
focus on it, it doesn't, my PhD, like it literally stalls. If I just
Mm.
look at it every day, nothing moves. So yeah, it's back to your question again. It's about finding balance because I realized I've gotten to love this thing that I do so much to the point where I'm like, oh, PhD, it's becoming secondary.
It
Yeah,
happens. Trust me, I know.
yeah. So one of the important things I'm also learning on this journey, I have not yet there, is how to
Mm,
balance all these things. But I know listening to your intuitions and your body sometimes
yeah.
and just like I believe that you can have plans, but then you can also be flexible around them.
Mm,
So having that schedule and routine, but then not being too hard on yourself and
mm,
allowing things to also just flow.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
No, that's a wonderful place to be at. And I think that's also a sign of growth, to
Mhm.
recognize that, yes, you are meant to be organized, but also in your organization, you have to plan for flexibility, for things to not go wrong. And I love what your lecturer said, bright people do many things. I'm going to steal that. So if anybody asks me, like, why do you do so many things? I'm going to say, bright people do so many things. That has
Yeah,
affirmed me because sometimes you're like, I do so many things, but I think it's
you
true. I
are
think
bright.
it's true. Yeah, I'm bright, clearly.
Yes, you
that,
are, Annie.
that's amazing. So, as we are about to wrap up, one of the questions that I'd like to ask you is, a piece of advice.
Mhm.
Somebody's listening to you, is listening to your journey, and they're inspired. They're like, "Wow, Dorcas, you've had such a wonderful journey. We're inspired by what you're doing. You're so confident." So, what advice would you give a young woman from Kenya who's listening right now, or any other parts of the world, who's interested in pursuing a career in STEM, and even more specifically in engineering? Because I mean, we didn't touch on it yet, but engineering is such a still considered a very male dominated space. Um,
Yes.
so, and also, going to a place like Oxford as an African, a young African woman, that's such a huge achievement. So, what advice would you give to somebody who's inspired by your journey?
Thank you, Annie. I would say, first of all, have belief in yourself, believe
Mm,
in your abilities, and learn how to develop self-confidence,
hmm
because sometimes you just need you to actually also tell yourself that you can do this in the place where there are like fewer males, or sorry, in a place where it's male dominated. So I would say if you have that internal confidence within you and knowing that you have to do what you need to do, it's not easy, but then have the resilience and endurance to go forth. And then rely on good, like, friends and support system around you, because that is also very helpful. You realize that in as much as you can find yourself in a place where you are the only one, or a
mm,
few of you are there, if you have people even online, like, reach out to people,
yeah.
form communities locally and and also like online, and talk through your issues. Importantly, find a mentor along that journey. Find someone who's done the things that you want to do, so that they can help you guide with they can guide you with the things that you want to do and achieve.
Mm,
And I think also looking out for opportunities to further enhance your skills, in the sense that there are a lot of opportunities for women and young people
mm,
in form of scholarships or online courses. Look out for these opportunities to upskill yourself, because they're very, very helpful. And also walk around, interact with people, and build these social skills that can help you survive and thrive in any situation. And I would say go for it. Don't limit yourself. Yes.
mm. Fantastic piece of advice. Thank you, Dorcas. Um, the world is our oyster. We are capable of doing so much more than we think sometimes. So, last question. Looking ahead, what are your hopes and dreams, in terms of your career or your academic pursuits, and also, like, in answering this in type on the type of impact that you would like to have on the world?
hmm that's a good question, because as you're saying, hope. I think I'm learning that things can just go whichever
Mm,
direction, but of importance is to be hopeful and to know what you want, because
mm,
that's what will guide even you through the uncertainties. I hope to um this is quite difficult, but I hope to be a leader in the climate space, and to advocate for sustainable solutions in production, um, and also around mineral use and resources use in Africa and beyond. I see myself hoping, I see myself helping also people to like come into this technology, and be thought leaders and be people who are going to influence the next set of upcoming technologies,
Yeah.
the next industries, how are they going to look like? Um, just a voice to speak into, a voice that will be in those rooms of decision makers where they are influencing the next direction of technologies in Africa. Yes.
Ooh, powerful. May all of that come through. And when it happens, we'll have you back on the show as we all growing bigger and better. And be like, yes, doctor, because obviously by then it'll be Dr. Dorcas. Thought leader.
Amen.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
Dorcas, it was so lovely chatting to you today. Thank you so much for your time. I've learned so much. I'm inspired by your story and by your journey. And honestly, I wish you all of the best, not only in your academic pursuits, but overall, all in your whole entire life. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie, for having me. This was a great pleasure. And the good work that you do, congratulations. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much. And to everybody else who's tuned in, thank you for listening to another episode of the Root of the Sound podcast. Until next time, goodbye.